Hi everyone. In this session, let's have an example for FCFS scheduling algorithm with arrival time. Let's consider the set of following processes with their arrival time and burst time. Using first come first serve scheduling algorithm, first we can draw the Gantt chart, then we can compute completion time, turnaround time, waiting time, response time, average turnaround time, average waiting time, and average response time. Yes, in our problem, we have three processes, namely P1, P2 and P3 with arrival time 0 to 9 and burst time 6 to 1 units respectively. We know that in first come first serve scheduling algorithm, the process that arrives first gets the CPU and runs completely. Since process P1 arrives at time 0, then process P2 arrives at time 2 and process P3 arrives at time 9. So based on the arrival time, the execution order of the processes is P1, P2 and P3. Let's draw the Gantt chart first and simultaneously let's calculate start time and completion time for each process. Fine. For process P1, the start time is 0 and the burst time is 6. So let's start running from 0, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and it completes by 6. Therefore, the start time for the process P1 is 0 and the completion time for the process P1 is 6. Next, for process P2, the arrival time is 2 and burst time is 2. Since the process P1 completes by 6, the process P2 has to wait and start running from 6. So, it starts from 6, executes 7 and completes by 8. Therefore, the starting time for process P2 is 6 and the completion time for process P2 is 8. Process P2 completes at time 8. No process arrived at this time slot. So, CPU is ideal from 8 to 9. P3 arrives at the time 9 with burst time 1. So, P3 starts at the time slot 9 and completes by 10. Therefore, the start time of process P3 is 9 and the completion time for process P3 is 10. Next, we can calculate the turnaround time using the formula completion time minus arrival time. For process P1, the completion time is 6 and arrival time is 0. That is, 6 minus 0 is equal to 6. Next, for process P2, the completion time is 8 and the arrival time is 2. That is, 8 minus 2 is equal to 6. For process P3, the completion time is 10 and the arrival time is 9. Therefore, 10 minus 9 is equal to 1. So the turnaround time for process P1 is 6, for process P2 is 6 and for process P3 is 1. Next, we can calculate the waiting time using the formula turnaround time minus burst time. The turnaround time for process P1 is 6 and burst time for process P1 is 6. So we get 6 minus 6 is equal to 0. For process P2, the turnaround time is 6 and the burst time is 2. So 6 minus 2 is equal to 4. Next, for process P3, the turnaround time is 1 and the burst time is 1. So 1 minus 1 is equal to 0. The waiting time for process P1 is 0, for process P2 is 4 and for process P3 is 0. Next, we can calculate the response time using the formula start time minus arrival time. For process P1, the start time is 0 and the arrival time is 0. So by substituting it in the formula, we get 0 minus 0 is equal to 0. For process P2, the start time is 6 and the arrival time is 2. So we get 6 minus 2 is equal to 4. For process P3, the start time is 9 and the arrival time is 9. So we get 9 minus 9 is equal to 0. The response time for process P1 is 0, for process P2 is 4 and for process P3 is 0. Next, we can calculate the average turnaround time using the formula sum of all turnaround times divided by number of processes. So in our problem, we have 3 processes And turnaround times we have calculated earlier for all three processes. That is 6 for process P1, 6 for process P2 and 1 for process P3. We can substitute it in the formula and we get 6 plus 1 divided by 3, which is equal to 4.3. Next, we can calculate the average waiting time using the formula sum of all waiting times divided by number of processes. We know the waiting time for the process P1, that is 0, for process P2 is 4 and for process P3 is 0. So by substituting in the formula, we get 0 plus 4 plus 0 divided by 3 is equal to 1.3. Finally, we can calculate the average response time using the formula sum of all response times divided by number of processes. The response time for process P1 is 0, for process P2 is 4 and for process P3 is 0. By substituting it in the formula, we get 0 plus 4 plus 0 divided by 3, which is equal to 1.3. So hope you are clear on FCFS scheduling algorithm with arrival time in this example problem. Thank you all.